This is a very small gaming laptop. It's a 13-inch device rocking a GTX 1650. It's the new Razer Blade Stealth, and they've managed to make an incredibly small package. Like if you compare this to their 15-inch Razer Blade, this is already a very small 15-inch gaming laptop. When you compare it, just the footprint, it is like it's tiny. It's super small in comparison. Now, it's not going to be the world's most powerful gaming laptop, right? It obviously has limitations because of its size, but this is a very strong performer considering how small this device is. And I actually don't think there are other 13-inch devices out there right now that house a GTX 1650. Now, the external shell of the Razer Blade Stealth this year has not changed. It just looks exactly the same as the previous generation in terms of its aesthetics. It's like 0.5 millimeter thicker. It's got this well-built black aluminum chassis, and it's got the triple-headed snake logo up top. It is a very nice looking laptop. Like Razer's laptops tend to have this particular design aesthetic, and this thing just follows suit. It's not super thin though, right? Keep in mind that Razer built this thing to have a little bit of room in there so it can cool the components properly. It's still very thin and portable, but it's not like this paper thin Ultrabook. Okay, inside, we'll pop this open real quick. You have replaceable SSD and a replaceable Wi-Fi card. Your RAM is soldered on, you can't replace that. The battery down here, it's the same size as previous year. It's a 7-hour battery. So this is running a 1080p screen. If you get the 4K screen, it's probably gonna be a little bit less than that, but on the 1080p screen, around 7 hours, and that's with the regular integrated GPU. Now, powering the system is a 100-watt AC adapter, and there's good things and bad things to that. So the good thing is that it's got plenty of power. There's some older generations of Razer Blade Stealths that used a smaller AC adapter, I think it was 65 watts, and there were times when you would be running the system really heavily, and the AC adapter wouldn't be able to power the system properly. So that is no longer an issue because it's got 100 watts piping into this. The unfortunate thing is there are very few monitors out there that can pipe 100 watts over power delivery to power this laptop. So if you're someone that wants to have a single cable setup where you just have your monitor and a single USB-C cable that connects to your laptop to juice everything up, there's like 2 or 3 monitors out there that can do it. Okay, let's talk about performance. This is running the 10th gen Intel CPU. So these are quad-core CPUs with incredibly long names. They can't sustain boost clock for a particularly long time. For gaming, it's not too big of an issue. A lot of games don't press the CPU that hard, so you're getting pretty good frame rates for low to moderately demanding games. But one thing I did notice is that this is running a GTX 1650 Max-Q, and if you look at their website, there's no mention that it is a Max-Q GPU that comes on the Razer Blade Stealth, so I think some people may be misled by that. I feel like Razer should be more clear that it is kind of like the lower powered and lower performing version of the 1650, but it is still a very solid performer considering that it's a 13-inch device. Now, if you were looking at the Razer Blade Stealth as a potential video editing machine, if you're working with 1080p footage, sure, but still for 4K footage, the performance isn't there, especially when compared to kind of like the big boy 15-inch devices. And it mostly just comes down to CPU. Like these things just have much more power-hungry CPUs that can process a lot more information. This thing is running a much lower wattage chip. Now, the advantage to that is thermals. The temperatures on this device are excellent, like really, really good. I think most of it is Intel CPU. That 10th gen chip is quite power efficient, but it's also the thermal solution here. The cooling is done quite well. A lot of the other components on the inside of the laptop haven't changed compared to the most recent iteration of the Stealth, but I'll go through them real quick. The screen is still running that 13-inch screen. It's pretty bright and color accuracy is good enough. It has a 60 Hz refresh rate, so it won't look as fluid as some other high-end 15-inch gaming laptops. They do offer this model in a 4K version, but having used a lot of 13-inch devices in both 1080p and 4K, like my recommendation for most people is to stick with 1080p. Even if you do content creation and you kind of rely on color accuracy, it's just that the 4K panels, they suck up more juice and it's almost too pixel dense. Like a 1080p screen at 13 inches is already quite sharp. The speakers on the side sound pretty good. Most of the sound comes from the bottom of the speaker where the cutouts are. The upper portion of this mesh is just a mesh of lies. I don't think there's anything underneath this part of it. The keyboard and the trackpad also remain unchanged. They're good. I actually really like the keyboard. I've gotten used to Razer's keyboards over the past year because I use the regular blade so much. I still don't like the bottom right shift key though. If you're someone who actually uses that shift key for anything like shift question mark or just when you regularly type, you're gonna have to get used to this layout. But the rest of this keyboard is quite solid. It does only have single zone RGB, so the entire keyboard has to be one color. You can switch it to whatever color you want, but if you're used to Razer's like crazy RGB customization, you only get one color at a time right now. The trackpad's also really nice. It's got this smooth glass surface and it's got Windows Precision drivers, so the tracking experience is solid. The overall device is on point. Like there's very little I dislike about this machine, especially considering how powerful it is for a 13-inch device. However, we have not talked about its price point, and therein lies the rub. This is a very expensive device. It starts at $1,800 for the GTX 1650 equipped version, and I'll let that sink in. $1,800 US. Now, last year I did a video on the 2018 Razer Blade Stealth, and I said that device was too expensive because there were competitors on the market that were selling something similar, like similarly configured, for a few $100s cheaper. This year, however, there is no competitor. No one else is making a 13-inch device with a GTX 1650 in it. So as expensive as this thing is, they're really the only people with this product. So in theory, they can charge whatever they want. And that's kind of how Razer does their stuff sometimes. Like when they have a unique product that no one else has, they jack up the price. It's kind of like their monitor. I've showed it a couple times in this video, the Razer Raptor. It's a very aesthetically pleasing device. It's got these green cables that no other monitor has. It's got this look that is super unique. It's very iconic to Razer, but it's expensive. That thing's $700. It's a good monitor, but you are paying a bit of a premium just to have that design aesthetic. And the same thing applies here. You can't get this anywhere else. So if you have the money, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It does offer a very unique experience and it's a good one, but if you're on a budget, this is clearly not a value-oriented device. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.